'cause I love this land. It takes my breath away.
Welcome to Texas 10. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Steve.
And we've been traveling the roads of Texas. In fact, there are 254 counties, and we are working on going to all of them.
Yes, we are. We've been to all of them.
We have been to all of them.
Officially, we've been to 248.
Right. Well, today I think we should go to Young County and go to Graham, Texas.
Graham, Texas. Now, that's interesting. Young and Graham. There's more to Young County than Graham.
Right.
It is one of those counties that is, well, let's set it, right? It's in the upper north of Texas, but before you get to the Panhandle, if you know what I mean. Like, way north is Amarillo, but this is a little bit northwest of Fort Worth.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to get to, if we're honest, but it's worth it. It's kind of like a hidden gem.
Right, and so it is a ways from any interstate. You're a ways from any interstate. To get there, if you're coming off 35, you'd come straight west from Denton. Or if you're coming from Fort Worth, you'd go over 20, and then you go up either 16 or 67, and you get the state highways, and it's all... like you said, it's a little bit difficult to get there, but it sure is worth it.
And, you know, I think it's really surprising. You and I were talking about this earlier. You think about West Texas after you leave Fort Worth, and it's going to be dry and really not that pretty. It is really a beautiful area. It's actually quite hilly.
There's hills. There's good. They have a lot of water there,
yes,
which is right. So
Great lakes.
There is Lake Graham, and then actually Possum Kingdom Lake, which is just one of the best lakes in Texas, intrudes into the county a little bit. And there's one, I forget the name of the other, but they have three sort of substantial lakes there. So there are a lot of people from the west side of the Metroplex that are lucky enough to have vacation homes and whatnot in the area, but they're mostly on the lakes. I sure hope they go to Graham.
Well, you know, let's go to Graham. It's a great little town, and it claims that it has the largest square in the United States.
The town square, and it is large.
It is big.
Well, that is something we didn't know their claim until we researched it a little bit more. But when we were there, we remarked about it's got big, wide streets, and it's just expansive.
Right. And it has a nice courthouse, but you actually won't be surprised to hear that their original courthouse burned down.
Right, yes. That's
like every courthouse
a repeating
burned down.
story.
Yeah.
But this is sort of I think it had to be built in around the 40s or 50s. It's the sort of modern, clean lined, which I love in West Texas. I think it fits the geography and just the climate and whatnot in West Texas to have the big, clean lined courthouse. And it's a commanding presence, not too many trees, which Steve the photographer likes, so we can actually see the building. And so that's great. And it is a full square around the courthouse, which we love to see.
So when we think of a square that we think is a really successful, great square in today's time, it has to have a really good movie theater, and this one has a beautiful movie theater.
Actually, if you look closely, at one time there were 3 theaters on the square. One of them, I think now, is a quilt shop.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. That was actually one of the things I was going to highlight. If you are a quilter, I walked in, and shout out to my friend Becky. She is a quilter. And what did I say? Oh man, Becky would be in heaven.
Right.
They just have bolts and bolts and bolts of all kinds of fabrics to choose from to make quilts. It was one of the better quilt shops I've ever been in.
All right.
It was great.
High score for the quilt shop in Graham. You know what else I give a high score to?
The diner.
The diner,
Yeah.
right? Marlene's Big Chill.
And what a great name, because when you think about a diner, what do you want to do? You want to go, chill out, talk to your friends, and it is a place where you can certainly do that.
Right. And so it is it's a quintessential Texas diner. We were there for breakfast. They had great pancakes. They've got the old griddle, all of the stuff that makes a great diner.
And they have the diner bar. I love that, where you can sit right up at
on the
counter,
stools.
sit on the counter.
Right. And you can be a little kid again when you sit on the stool. I love that. Right.
So it was a really, really good diner.
Right. Were you going to talk about the post office?
Yes.
Slash.
So one of the things that I love is when a town has gotten older and they, build a new post office or whatever. I love it when towns keep their original architecture. And they have a really beautiful old post office, and now it's a museum and an art museum.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I think the most beautiful thing about that is the building itself when you go in.
It's a gorgeous building, and it's on the that's one of the advantages of having a huge town square, is that you have the courthouse and then you have that on the interior also, so it's very easy to get to. And it had some great work in there too.
It did.
We enjoyed our time in there.
It's really worth your time. Right. And the small town museums and art museums, they're always a little bit surprising, but they are such fun, and they're not so expansive. You can spend an hour, hour and a half, or not even
30
that
minutes,
long, and really enjoy it.
Right,
so
and be
I
cultured.
love that. Yes.
Because we love to be cultured.
So little towns also have culture, and Graham does.
Right. And so that's Graham itself, the town square. The other thing I would encourage people to do is I believe if you head east out of the town, there's a street that's got some great old homes on it, and you can just sort of get the feel.
And that great old gas station. Right. When we were there several years ago, it had a great little store in it, and that store's not there anymore, but the preserved gas station still is. I love seeing the old gas stations. It brings back memories of the guys running out and washing your windows.
Yeah, you want that again, don't you?
I do. I miss that.
I bet you
My dad worked at a gas station, so it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that should come back, especially if you have to pay as much as we pay for gas. You ought to get the guy in the uniform.
Well, and it's got such a community. I don't know if you remember, but they had a classic car show one Saturday. I get the feeling in Graham that the square has a lot of community events, and it really brings the community together, which is what a square is supposed to.
Well, and one of the things, Graham, I looked at, I think it's about 8,500 people in Graham, not the county, but in Graham. And that's large enough to draw a lot of people for events and things like you're talking about, but it's small enough to maintain that small town feel. I think it's really in a sweet spot. And then given the area around there, that's great. There's a great lodge there if you're looking to stay as opposed to staying at the lake or lakes. There's Fort Belknap there.
Yeah, there's a lot of history in Graham, and so whenever you can go to one of the old forts, it's just filled with history, and you can almost picture, the soldiers there and protecting the area. And
well, it's named Young County after a Colonel Young, and if you read a little bit about Colonel Young, which you can do at our website at texas10.com, go to the field guide on Graham County.
Young County.
Young County, I'm sorry. But he did all sorts of things, and he ended up being a Confederate soldier, but he was in the Mexican-American War. I think he was in the Revolution. I mean, it was a very, very interesting character. He was involved in all sorts of stuff that we don't have time to go into. But when you say history, there's plenty of history out there.
And just beautiful nature. I mean, it's, like Steve already said, you can go to the lakes, you can hike. It's really surprisingly so pretty.
Well, and so one of the things that I'm going to segue to that is also in Young County is one of the weirdest, greatest things that we've come across in our travels. It's called Bearville.
So we level signs, and we're driving down the highway, and I thought this man was going to have a coronary. He pulls off the road, and it's just this field filled with, there was a big boy, a Kip's Big Boy. Right. I've always wanted one. One day I'm going to have a Kip's
Not this
Big
one.
Boy.
This one's huge.
Kip's Big Boys, huge signs, the young, remember the young, was it motor cars or something? I don't know. Iconic old signs.
We're suckers for vintage.
So
and
cool.
This is vintage overload. And it turns out Bearville, I took pictures from the highway. If you want to get in, if you're a photographer, and I'm sure they do a lot of portrait photography and whatnot, it's a rental fee. You have to pay a fee to go in, but you can make use of all of that. And he's got he or she or whoever owns it has the greatest stuff. I loved it.
So I'm going to wrap us up. I do encourage you to go off the highway, do a little exploring, and go to Graham, Texas, go to Young County, enjoy it. And I hope you will follow us on Instagram, Facebook, our website, Texas 10. Do all the things, like, share.
Subscribe to the
Yes.
YouTube channel. We would love that. And most of all, just tell a friend about it.
So I hope you'll join us again right here at Texas 10.
Bye.
From the Palo Duro to the Gulf Coast Plain, from the heart of the hill country to the piney wood shade, I love this land. It takes my breath away.